Look out, y'all. It's the E. Jean Carroll experience today on the pod.
Yep, the brilliant journalist, advice columnist, and slayer of the predator-in-chief is talking with your buzzkills about using humor as a weapon, a superpower, and a way to cope when suing the most vindictive ogre in the free world.
Plus, it's the thing of vaginal nightmares. A MAGA billionaire is funding a tradwife pregnancy app and wrapping it in some shiny MAHA misinformation packaging.
Yep, it's called 28. It's scary AF, and we're going to break it down for you. All that and a roundup of this week's biggest stories in the reproductive roulette wheel we call life, coming up on this episode of the Feminist Buzzkills podcast, the show that is dubbed today Epsteinth.
Epsteinth. Is it a national holiday for everybody who gets vindication?
Epsteinth for all you who celebrate. Yes, I think we'll call it. I'm Moji Alawodeyal, and I'm joined by my co-host, Liz Winstead.
C'est moi. And before we get to all of that, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of Abortion Access Front last week. It was so fun. You know, we're like your scrappy friends who get in the streets, but we didn't know we had any juice. And, you know, it was like 10 years of us being around and traveling the country and doing all this work. And so we literally went into the couch cushions of everything and scrapped together a way to have like a full-on party. And it was super fun.
It was so fun. Listen, it was so beautiful. Like when it was in full swing, looking around, everybody just looked so joyous, so glamorous. It was just a wonderful time. I feel like I'm out of words.
Yeah, Sandra Bernhard hosted it. We also had some Golden Probe Awards where we ripped some really horrible people with categories like Best Original Science and Best Acting Like You Care About Women in an Unsupportive Role. And, you know, those are really good to just roll in two different categories of people. We treat them like they are, you know, Oscar nominees. But all of a sudden, in one evening, you've got 10 monsters who the public elected, who are saying horrible things or getting things wrong or literally are in charge of our lives and oftentimes are on a path. They may be on the school board or they may be in state government, but they have dreams of national ambitions, and it reminds people why we all have to fight harder because the bench is real scary on their side.
As we look back at the 10 years of Abortion Access Front, we have seen some of these cretins go from some small town yokel to like, oh, he's on this. Oh, he's a senator now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
He's governor of a state now.
Yeah. Oh, he used to be shaming me with a bullhorn, and now he's like writing legislation, and it's like, shit, this is real. And, you know, the biggest challenge, Moj, I bet you'll agree with me, is convincing people that these people aren't outliers. These are people are real and people take them seriously.
Also, I think when we were choosing our honorees, whittling down the list, right?
Yeah, whittling down the list of terrible honorees. But we had cool honorees, too. We had Laura and Renee Chelian, who are incredible abortion providers in Michigan. And our guest today was our other honoree, E. Jean Carroll, and we had a blast getting to know E. Jean. So it was really an incredible evening. We laughed, we sang, we learned some stuff, we ate some fish, and we raised, wait for it, $275,000 to support Abortion Access Front.
That's my fireworks sound, not my pew pew sound.
Okay, good job.
And I also want to give a shout out to everyone who came and to our top sponsors who really made it happen, right? We had the presenting sponsor, that was the Harnish Foundation. We had our visionary sponsor, Dr. Chris Creatora. Love her.
Our trailblazers were Lucy Reed, Dr. Sophia Yen, and Pandia Health. She's been a guest on the show. She's fantastic. Our revolutionary supporters, Aria Albertajani, Jill Larson, who has been a ride or die with us in the Downtown Women for Change. And of course, our board member and AAF go-to, who you, I think, will be talking to when the SCOTUS case comes up in a couple of weeks, Dr. Michelle Goodwin and her fantastic partner, Professor Gregory Schaefer. So thank you, everybody who joined us, who helped us put this shindig on, our incredible honorees in their work, and our entire staff at AAF who worked so hard to pull this off. You know, we're 12 people, and we're a lot of like got some chewing gum and some string, and we're going to take this barn and turn it into a fancy thing. And we did it. And
it was a beautiful barn. It was so special. It was so fantastic. And not all, but a lot of us got to just sit down and enjoy and bask in the beauty and the goodness and the gloriousness of the night and everyone's hard work. And if you want to celebrate with us, you want to just be excited about 10 years of AF, why don't you head on over to aafront.org/donate or join our Patreon and let your support help us continue to do this work for 10, 20, 30, 50 more years.
That's right. And if you aren't a Patreon member already, sign up. Not only will you get a birthday shout out like one we're about to give, but you'll get cool merch, great content, and you'll support all of the work of AAF, not only just this pod. So go to patreon.com/feminist buzzkills and hey, drop some coins in the coffers. Help us continue on because there's nobody else out there doing the work we do. So
thank you, everyone. And I'm so excited to actually announce our happy birthday. Our Patreon supporter, PJ Schuster of New Mexico, celebrated the beginning of this month on November 1st. And we want to thank you for years of supporting the podcast.
PJ, happy birthday. Hit it, Remy. Happy birthday, PJ.
Happy
Love that. That's the best birthday song, hands down.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
So, PJ, hope your month is awesome.
Well, Liz, that was a fun little mini celebration. Now, let's get to the big bad abortion news of the week.
So much. Okay. I'm not going to lie. This first story was free in anti-abortion media. And they were bitching about something that happened in the Washington Post. And I had to hack into the Washington Post and not pay for it. And boy, they're super mad. So here's the deal. The Worst Wives Club are just mad, mad, mad. And basically the Washington Post did a story where they came up with this kind of interactive tool. So you could enter some criteria and then gauge the best place for you to live and raise a family, right? And apparently, because absent from the choices you could make to find out where you should be raising your family were things like laws that execute abortion seekers and state-sponsored Toni Morrison bonfires. So they were just like, they felt the need to write this whole friggin' diatribe about how the Jeff Bezos clown paper is promoting raising families in a pro-abortion Valhalla.
Like, I wish there was a pro-abortion Valhalla. And
right?
So like the metrics they were using was just like, is the city affordable, right? How's the quality of the education, neighborhood safety? And then, of course, the state policies on abortion access and parental leave and LGBTQIA rights matter. Abortion access specifically because if you're pregnant, sometimes you need abortion to save your life. And maybe if you're in a place that doesn't do that, it's not a safe place for you to start a family.
And just reminding people that most abortion seekers are already parenting. And so making sure all of those things are in place. Yeah.
So there were like little summaries, right? And at some point they were like, oh, Massachusetts and New Jersey are really great, but maybe a little expensive. If you don't mind having a few less rights, you could consider Mississippi and Texas. And that, I think, is when the steam started coming out of their ears.
Basically, these tradwafters just were screaming that they could only choose places where the parents and kids won't die and have access to an education system that basically teaches children not to grow up to be like these assholes. And so they were mad about it. So that was like my story that I was like, Jesus, they really hate joy.
They really do. Also, I'm just like, if you want your state to be a place people want to live, maybe make a better state.
Totally.
Another story that really got me going this week was basically after we finally opened the government, right? After the Democrats were holding out to extend the Obamacare subsidies, Republicans decided that they're not even going to continue these conversations about extending subsidies until they get more abortion restrictions.
Yeah, they basically said, okay, we're going to talk about it in January. And when we talk about it, there will be nothing until we can basically present a national abortion ban, which of course they did, which is just so on brand, and we should have known all along. So welcome to January. We get to just sweat it out again, and abortion will be thrown under the bus.
States' rights my ass.
State rights my ass. That is such a good point. So over in Wisconsin, I live in Minnesota half the year, and Wisconsin's my neighbor to the east, and they're constantly Wisconsining. And so basically in Wisconsin, Two quacktastic politicians have proposed a law to create a new science that redefines miscarriage as something other than abortion. Nice try, Dr. Do Nothing for Women. They're literally the same thing, the same drug, same procedure, same everything. The medical term for a miscarriage is spontaneous abortion.
Well, causing harm by twisting science like a balloon animal at their misogyny carnival, and of course, the side effect of institutionalizing stigma, that's what we should expect from them. They love to segregate abortion from abortion.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense. It's like making laws to which bras are moral and which ones aren't. They could say like, oh, okay, we're going to reclassify the nursing bra and call it a feed bag container because women are vessels and the sole purpose of breasts is to act as a food source for man's progeny. But the push-up bra, now that is a tool of temptation, and that must be banned because it only functions to turn those feed bags into filthy play sacks and use them to lure good men into unholy acts outside the marriage bed. No, they're just bras, right? I mean, it's the same thing with abortion, so fuck that shit.
Liz, this is another one that really just got me going. So the Heritage Foundation, who were the architects of Project 2025, they looked back at some old RFK claims and they were like, now that he's head of the Health and Human Services, how can we entice him to restrict birth control? I know what. Let's say birth control is in the water and boys are swimming in the water and the water is feminizing boys and therefore we need to restrict birth control. Easy, which of course sounds stupid.
It is stupid. It doesn't even make sense. And you know what? That claim is going to be revisited, Moji, in our big story of the week, because this is a whole thing that they're doing, right? And they're doing it with RFK because he's so susceptible to any kind of conspiracy theory around health that, whether they're saying there's birth control in the water, there's abortion pills in the water, we're powering America's cities on
fetuses.
And every one of them, he's like, yeah, maybe there is a link between you name it and autism or something, bad health or whatever.
But also, how does he take birth control that is administered to women and make it about men?
They love to do that because let's say it was true and it was birth control is somehow, feminizing men or some shit. So thank God we found a cure for toxic masculinity. How about I'm spinning it? Which leads us to, speaking of toxic masculinity, this is perfectly into our gigantic story of the week that we both were really not psyched about. This week, the New York Times had us wholly freaked out when they reported that Peter Thiel, the man who bankrolled J.D. Vance, became a gazillionaire investing in PayPal, Facebook, Palantir, basically every fucking platform that we have given all of our personal info to.
Every single one of them.
Has decided to invest in a, wait for it, period tracker.
That's why I wanted my junk.
That's right. There's more. But first, I think we have to ask ourselves, should a gay gazillionaire MAGA data farmer who has never seen a vagine be all up in our junk?
No!
That's a resounding no. I agree. I mean, here's what's so wild. This dude has access to our financial data, every photo of our family, every move we make, and now people are going to give him our blood? This is crazy.
Wackadoo. I mean, I feel like everything I hear about his company, Palantir, is very much about how they data mine and they pay attention to everything. Why would we willingly hand him over this shit?
And all of his clients are people who are just desperate to get our data, to either hold it against us, to somehow just market to us, to steal our shit, to criminalize us if need be.
Yes.
He's just literally the last person who should be running a period tracker.
So what's worse is there's a wearable attached to it, right? There's just this app called 28, but also they want to have a watch or a ring that'll continually feed the data from your body, probably where you're going, what's going on with your body, to Peter Thiel.
Wow, people just keep giving their shit to Peter Thiel. It is really crazy. The pound of flesh is real. It's like, okay, I don't even know what to say.
I'm like, why would he even care? But I think he's one of those pronatalists who want to make sure that we are reproducing at the pace he thinks is important. So I don't know. I feel like they're probably tied up together. All of it makes me really uncomfortable and gives me an ick.
Also, it's really gross that, like, here's a gay dude who literally can't give birth and could be adopting children who needed it. Not that I want that guy to parent anybody, but to be a pronatalist and be a MAGA gay guy, it just seems so gross that you are literally on this path of like hey, women, have as many babies as possible. And it's like, hey, dude.
Fuck off.
Yeah, just fuck right off.
You know what's worse, though? Because behind every shitty man, there's shitty women making them more money and selling out other women. And in this case, his partners in fallopian domination is the alt-right sham glam squad at Evie Magazine. Are you aware of Evie Magazine?
I never heard of Evie Magazine, I don't think, until this article.
Strap in, Liz. Evie is essentially, they call themselves a conservative Cosmo, and they're just glossy magazine, and their goal is to make tradwifery look hot and modern. And if you're like, well, what does that mean? That sounds like a whole bunch of words that don't actually mean a thing. To give you an example, they have a recurring column, and it starts with a wife's guide to. And in the spirit of Cosmo, it didn't follow some sex shit, like they'll tell you how to give a blowjob, but they'll call it wives because a single girl should not be doing the sex, Liz.
What's interesting about it is that they kind of lure you in with like pictures from the Met Ball and the latest beauty trends. And then their articles are all shit like birth control causes depression and anxiety and anger and menstrual effects and suicide. And they really are anti-pill. Like there's a lot of anti-pill shit in there.
Liz, I lifted this from their actual article, and they say that the pill causes you to prefer men with more feminine faces, or, you know, just that you prefer women, right? That they just came straight out and they said, oh, birth control can make you gay.
See, there it is. Again, it's in the water. It's turning men feminine. It's turning you gay. And then some of their shit, like, I don't suggest you follow their Instagram, but
please don't follow their Instagram.
We were scrolling through their Instagram, and just a couple of articles they had. 7 MAHA approved wines to serve for Thanksgiving.
I liked dating is a disaster. Are men really to blame?
Oh my God. COVID vaccines linked to cancer. I mean, it's just like, come on now. Like menopause kills your whole vibe. Like they're just like
fall fashion trends. Men hate. There's a lot of centering men for a women's magazine.
All the time. Does feminism cause autism? I don't know. God, it's just crazy. They should be writing for the New York Times, these people. They could really get on that fucking bandwagon about women ruining the workplace. It is just nuts to think that Peter Thiel has teamed up with an anti-feminist magazine who's pushing propaganda, and that shit's going to help people monitor their periods. And I feel like this is the perfect time to get out of this stench bath that we're in and get to a palate cleanser of epic proportions.
So let's get to the lady of the hour.
She's a journalist, fashion icon, and for 3 decades had an incredible advice column in Elle magazine.
She's also the fearless femme who brought Donald Trump to justice after he sexually assaulted her in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room back in the 90s.
Her new book, Not My Type, takes you on her journey of living with the pain of the assault and her process of finding the strength to bring this mofo to justice.
And last week, Abortion Access Front was over the moon to honor her achievements and her bravery with the Fearless AF Award at our 10th anniversary celebration. Please welcome E. Jean Carroll.
E. Jean, it is so fun to see you again.
Liz, my darling.
It was so fun to see you and so fun to have you at the Golden Probes. We were really proud of the fact that it was not your mother's chicken dinner gala.
It was the funniest event I have been to in years. That event, when I say hysterical, I mean hysterical. I have never seen anybody raise money like that because it's such a serious subject and such a life and death subject. It was astonishing at how funny it was. Sandra Bernhard killed. Your takeoff on The Handmaid's Tale killed. And then Liz got up and gave a speech that blew the roof off the place. And by the way, it was a huge crowd.
It was.
I mean, it was a huge crowd. So it was blistering. And I think you raised some money.
We did.
But I wanted to talk, I said to you before, and I've said it again, your career, friend, has been something that has been in my life and in my coming of age for a super long time.
Thank you.
You've always been incredibly funny. And you've always been somebody who has worked in fields like me, comedy writing, journalism, full of people who are not necessarily rooting for women to succeed. So I wanted to ask you, how did you know that humor was going to be a really big tool for you to fight against sexism and to empower women to live their fullest lives through your columns and stuff.
You know what, Liz, I never recognized it. It's just that you and I have a comedic view of the world. Every event to us, we run it through the way we see the world, which is the world as a comedy. And we cannot help it. We cannot help but make fun of it. When I saw that people liked it when I made fun, well, then I just kept doing it. And that's how I see the world. And if I can capture that and get it on paper, it's the one thing that's kept women together for the last 10,000 years was our humor. If we don't laugh at what's going on, the burden becomes too much. Correct?
Yeah.
And speaking of the burden, like, let's be honest, it is kind of a revolutionary act for any woman to decide that her opinion matters, right? That's really a huge statement. So does it feel to you that like writing and sharing your experience is something you must do? Like that you can't live without this?
Are you kidding? I can't breathe without it. I'm under a difficult time right now. You know why? Because I'm between projects. I don't like this silence. I don't like this sitting here and thinking, oh, I can't stand it. This silence between, finishing a book and wanting to think of the next book. It's driving me fucking nuts. I just want to be working. I want to be doing it. So yes, gotta do it.
Forever you did your column, your Ask E. Jean. Like you did that for so long. Was there any point where you're just like, oh yeah, people actually care about the things that I have to say about their problems?
The letters that came in, I wish the drama and comedy of life. If you're an extraterrestrial and you come down to Earth, don't look at the headlines. Don't look at the news. Look at an advice column. And that's where it all is. The passion, the hatred, the revenge, the love of the human race. It's all in those problems. It was a great job. And then I came forward with Donald Trump and Elle magazine fired me.
That is utter bullshit. Here's what's insane about that to me is somebody who has built an arsenal of strength to get you to take on the biggest asshole alive who did the worst thing to you possible should be giving advice to every single person on the fucking planet.
When he speaks, the world hears it. That's it, Liz. It is incomprehensible. He is the most powerful man in the world.
And also the most incoherent man in the world. Like, I don't get it.
I don't either. I also look at these women, right, that are in his purview. And I think, this is the thing that stumps me. I'm going to ask your advice, E. Jean Carroll, because there are rich guys who don't shit in their pants. And there are rich guys who haven't been bankrupt 1,000 times and don't have creepy sons that you have to hang around with and that actually can speak in sentences and maybe would be partially interesting to be around. Why do women hitch their wagon to such a royal douchebag?
Liz, he's one of the smartest people. He is extremely smart. And a woman likes a strong man, and he is the strongest man in the world right now, probably the universe. So women love that.
I know, but a strong man with a full diaper is just not my jam.
A strong man in a toupee that looks bad is also, it's a red flag for me personally.
I agree, Moji. He's a fat old man. And that's why I was proud to be a part of your event, Liz, because you stood up there. It was one of the great moments. And that was a moment of release. Did you like my idea about having small conversations with people and turning their views?
I think small conversations are good. I think where I would and that is really learning to identify where you should spend your time.
Yes.
And where you should cut bait, right? Because when there's those people who are so dug in, Kool-Aid is running through their veins, that you don't want to waste your time, that not my circus, not my monkey thing, right? So spend some time having that conversation. I think we should all learn from some shrinks to find out, what are some good questions to ask somebody to see if they're open to listening. And if they're not, being like, I'm out of here, bye. But I think that, it's crucial to somehow know that somebody's going to listen.
That's exactly how I feel. Just like, wait a minute. If I had the opportunity, someone hated me and I had a conversation with Stephen Miller, the conversation would start with my humanity. And I just don't have the time to start my conversations at that point. I'd just like to be a little further along.
I agree. I think, but there's a moment here that we can grab where people who voted for Trump are now very uneasy, some of them.
And I want to see why they're uneasy. You know, it's kind of like, because he said, hey, I'm going to bring the price of eggs down, the price of milk down, the price of gas down, but I'm also going to round up brown people and harm them.
This is why every hour of the fucking day, we must be relentless. Because now we've been pushed back 50 years. Now they're trying to push us back, 100 years. We can't go to work and say our opinions on the job. It is absolutely imperative that we don't sit still for this fucking bullshit at all.
I think that's good advice to lead into talking about the book. And I have to tell you, it's super hard because I don't want to give too much of the book away, right? Because I want people to read it and listen to it, because you telling the story is like a friend helping you through something you're going through. So it's impeccable. The audiobook is impeccable.
It really is.
Liz, I can give away the ending. I won. I won.
That's true. You can give away the ending. We have seen a lot of it. So it's the worst day of your life. And
not really. You know what? Worse things have happened.
We can agree it was a pretty bad day, though.
Oh, no. No, I never got over it.
Right.
I never got over it.
And so I was like thinking about, you had a process with which you went through, because it took a while. How did you think about pursuing justice for yourself? And Moji, I think this goes to the question that you really wanted to ask.
I did. I again, listen to the book. Incredible. And you're an advice columnist. At that time, you are one. What advice, after you run out of the dressing room, right? You go home. Then as an advice columnist, as a woman, who just had this terrible encounter, who was just assaulted by a very powerful man, what advice did you give yourself about how to handle it?
Moji, I never advised myself. I'm of the silent generation. By God, I got up the next morning, chin up, smile on, and went right back to my job, which was, being on TV with Ask E. Jean. That's what I did. And I was working for Roger Ailes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And I smiled the whole time. And that thing was buried deep. That's how I handled it. And boy, that smile went on. And I just went on. I never dreamed in the world I would ever tell anybody. It was my deep, dark secret, like almost every woman. Both of you have been through things that I can't even get. Liz, you were backstage at the comedy clubs.
Yeah.
That, I've talked to Kathy Griffin about backstage at the comedy club, and it was horrendous.
Awful.
And what did you do? You smiled and you went out on stage and did your 10 minutes, I'll bet.
And you know what else you did? You tried to act like one of the guys.
Yeah.
Because that was an armor. I remember back in the day, people would say to me, you'd get farther if you did material that wasn't so from a woman's perspective. And I was like, I don't have another perspective. Like, what? That's the kind of thing that we dealt with all the time.
All the time.
And so, Jean, we walk with our plastered smiles on.
Totally.
So can you talk a little bit about what was happening on the inside while you were walking around with that smile plastered on your face?
I never had sex again as long as I lived, for instance. That's what happened to me. Now I've had the therapy about it. I can't get over it, Liz. Cannot get over it. Moji, I can't get past it. I can't get past it. And so that's what happens when you go on with a smile on your face. And if I don't think about it, then I don't have to deal with it, Moji, are you that way? I mean, I don't.
No, I ruminate, but then I'm sometimes paralyzed in the rumination. But I think it always affects you, right? One way or another, you're affected.
But just think, if Liz had told these guys what she actually saw, you never would have gone on live stage again, would you?
No. And it's why, Jean and Moji, I think you know this too, but I vowed to do projects that I made.
Yeah.
And every single thing that I have done and every project that I've worked on, starting with The Daily Show, was something that I made, assembled the team.
Yep.
And then there was like places, again, points of bullshit within even that. But then it was finally like when it came down to the past 10 years of my work, it was like I get to work with women, queer people. I get to use comedy. I get to fight power. I get to talk about a subject that people ignore and try to other.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what we bring, Jean, you coming forth and saying, this is what happened to me with the worst person ever, and I'm still working through it, is a message that is profound for so many people.
Thank you. And Liz, I see what you did there. What you did was you created your own world, which you control.
Yes. And then helps me navigate when I have to be out in the world where there's others. Like, I get what that's going to be.
Yeah.
But I also know there's things I deeply care about that I'm not going to let slide to the back burner because the media doesn't care, because it's run by who? Men.
Driving me crazy are the algorithms running our lives.
Yes.
What is your Instagram like, Moji?
I am the barest of Instagrammers. I literally only post bits of the podcast. And I do think, wow, I love that this has almost become therapy. I do think some of that is rooted in fear because as a woman, as a Black woman in this country, you see people who are outspoken and sometimes the level of vitriol that is rained upon them. I see it happening with Liz. I see it happening with lots of women creators or queer creators that I like and trust. And it just seems overwhelming.
Liz lives with that every single day, the garbage.
I know.
And
I see
the
it.
sewage, the rank, horrible comments. I mean, it's an hourly, daily.
I mean, you must go through that too, Jean. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I just,
I don't care either. And I think part of that was honing my skill as a stand-up and dealing with hecklers, but also therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I say this a lot of times to people when they say, how do you deal? I say, and I've said it on this podcast before, consider the source. If they're not feeding you or paying you, their opinion should be at the very bottom.
Exactly. But Liz, let's be frank. You are doing a dangerous work. It's the person who doesn't send the threat over Twitter. It's the person who's quiet and is waiting for you at the next abortion clinic, who's going to throw the pie in your face or whatever they're going to do.
But Jean, you're doing dangerous work. I mean, in the book, you talk about having security, being unable to walk into places, about basically not being able to re-drink a water because your security is like, no, you left that sitting for too long. Like, this is dangerous work.
And, I just want to talk about that because, we've kind of covered this arc of kind of what it's like to be a woman walking the earth and how we survive this world of awful. And one of the things that I loved in the book was, I love fashion. Moji loves fashion. Moji came from fashion. You love fashion.
Oh.
And the book has this through line of fashion and commentary and using clothes as style, using clothes as armor, using clothes as a strategy. I wish you would talk a little bit about why that was so important to have in the through line throughout, because it was so awesome. Also, I go to the Real more than I ever did. And
your book was partially a real ad, and I loved it.
And the horrible truth is, for the last 5,000 years, if a woman accuses a powerful man, the whole trial becomes about what she looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what she looks like is the basic question, is she fuckable?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the problem was, they can't put an 80-year-old woman in the witness box because the jurors cannot imagine what that 80-year-old crone, desiccated, skinny, withered, that she was a juicy young thing, fuckable enough to be attacked. So what we did was, the attack happened in the spring of 96. I had the Asking Jean show at the time, and we did exactly that hair and exactly that makeup. I hired every morning. She came to my hotel room during trials, did the hair and makeup exactly what I looked like in 96. And I wore clothes actually I had in my closet in 1996. So that was the trick we used. So the the juror could see, okay, they just got an echo of the younger woman. And that's what we did.
Gina, this is not a question, but this is an aside. As I was reading your book, I'm just slightly younger than you were around the time of the assault. And I was like, Jean's walking around Bergdorf in 4-inch heels? Like, I wear flats everywhere. So impressed.
No, this is 96. When we left the house to go to Bergdorf, we wore heels. We dressed. I'm surprised anyone wasn't wearing white gloves, for God's sake. No, it was all about what the victim was wearing at the time of the attack. And so when I wrote the book, I made sure I wrote about what every fucking person in the courtroom was wearing.
Right. I would love to know, what were you trying to convey by talking so much about what other people in the courtroom were wearing and how you were focusing on that?
Well, because in New York, the federal judge, Lewis Kaplan's courtroom was a runway. It was a fashion show runway, and it was all about how everything looked. In a trial, the jury, when Trump was in the courtroom, they were mesmerized and could not look away from him. If he's anywhere around, you have to look at him because he's always doing something. He's groaning, he's moaning, he's bitching, he's belittling his attorney. He's always doing something. And so it's all about how things look. They're going to judge and they're going to say they're going to award damages on the guy who walked out of the courtroom when Robbie Kaplan was given the final argument. They're not, they can see that. So
yeah,
clothes are about every woman who's listening to this podcast knows. It is our armor. It is our secret. It's where we get our confidence and how we feel good about ourselves. The world is visual.
True. And people have probably said this to you 1,000 times, and I've heard you talk about it in other podcasts. Having said all of that, and knowing how hard it is to get justice in a case like this, to have Donald Trump be shown a photograph of you and have him say, "That's Marla." I'm curious about, were you just like, pop the champagne, that's it? And I want to know if Robbie had to pinch some part of her body so that she didn't go, "Motherfucker!" because that was just all of the things you had to work for and all of the ways you had to present.
Yeah.
And then to have the president himself say that. I just want to know what both of you thought at the time.
Well, Robbie, she was cold stone, straight on, not an eyelash. She just said, she pointed, she said, you say E. Jean Carroll, is that? And that's when Haba leaped in and said, "No, it was a moment that won our case because he had said from the White House for 3 straight days running, she's not my type. She's horrible, desiccated crone. She's a liar. He's called me a liar 26 times. 26 times.
But who's counting?
And it's just like, oh, God. And so when that happened, we almost didn't need the 11 witnesses. We did all, that was the case. And Robbie made sure she showed that to the jury every chance she got. She was, it was a marvelous moment.
Jean, you have faced the most vindictive man in the whole world in court twice and won twice. So as an advice columnist, what advice do you have for other women in the world who are taking it upon themselves to stand up for themselves?
This is always a terrible question to ask me because you will pay a price. As Liz knows, as Moji knows, you will pay a price because you will not be believed. No woman is believed up against a powerful man. You will pay a price and it will take forever. That's all I got to say. But if you're old like me and you got nothing to lose, go for it.
Jean, do you regret it?
No, I am glad I did, but I could never have come forward in 96. Roger Ailes would have fired me. Elle would have fired me. I would have lost my job. I had no money. I didn't even know an attorney. Me Too was a blip. When those guys were fired, that ain't happening no more.
Right.
No, it's not happening.
And they all have their jobs back.
They got their jobs back.
So, I think that's the harsh reality of what it is. And I think that like really understanding what you want justice to be, if it can't be in the courts, what you want your justice to be for yourself. Like, I think that, we never ask people what they should consider. And I think that there's a lot of things to consider because boy, do I know, I left the Daily Show in 1998.
I remember that, Liz, and there was a blow up across all the headlines, newspapers in the country. They made such a big deal over that.
That's right. And I kept my mouth shut because I wanted to work again. See what happens? But you're a guidepost for people to think in a new way about finding their own justice. And, the book is so detailed and so chock full of fun anecdotes, processes. I wanted to talk about sex with Ben Vereen, and we didn't even get to it because I love Ben Vereen. And I'm going to have to ask you offline about it because
yeah,
you had magic to do and you did it.
Oh, thank you.
That's a Pippin reference, everybody who's old and young. Jean, let's get together soon. And you're just an inspiration because you did this not for yourself, but for a whole lot of people.
And we're grateful.
So did you, Liz. So did you, Moji. Let's just keep on keeping on.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep on keeping on.
Because what else have we got to do?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's it.
They hate it when we're winning and fun and look good and happy. They hate it. So you know what? If they hate that, like your joy is the best revenge. I mean, that's just a perfect way to live.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Adios.
Again, the book is not my type. And folks, the holidays are upon us, so I highly recommend giving the gift of E. Jean either in traditional book form or even better, an audiobook, because hearing her read it in her own words is like your best friend telling you a story and helping you through your own shit.
It's such a treat. Also, subscribe to the Ask E. Jean Substack. That's ejeancarroll.substack.com. And follow her on socials. She's E. Jean Carroll at Blue Sky Social and on Instagram, E. Jean Carroll 1.
Who's E. Jean Carroll? I can't believe she has to be E. Jean Carroll 1.
I want to know who E. Jean Carroll Sans 1 is too.
I know, that's some bullshit.
The links to all things E. Jean and for all the stories we talked about today will be in the show notes.
That's right. And you can find the best up-to-the-minute resources on accessing abortion care and funding for your care on our website, aafront.org. Our Charlie chatbot on the bottom right will walk anyone, anywhere in the country through their options and resources for abortion.
We do this show because this info is not given enough attention in the media. So help us spread the word and show us some love by liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating. Every little bit helps us reach more listeners.
That's right. And especially this episode is a good one. If you know anybody who's been through SA or is struggling with it, boy, you do get some real heartfelt information and some real good support. So that's our show, Moj. It was a good one. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Like Moji said, like, subscribe, give us some 5-star ratings. And again, join our Patreon. Support our work. Patreon.com/Feminist Buzzkills.
Plus, Abortion Access Front brings the news and info every day. So stay connected to us on social media at Abortion Front across all platforms. With your help, we can get more people to learn about the assault on abortion access and help fight back.
That's right. And now that we got you informed, let's get you activated. Check out our awesome Operation Save Abortion trainings at operationsaveabortion.com. You can get an abortion activist glow up and learn about all the areas abortion providers and patients need your help.
And while you're there, poke around our super cool activist calendar. It's full of local and national actions and educational opportunities so you can dive right in. Again, all of that is at operationsaveabortion.com.
AAF offers many other opportunities, and one of our favorites is our mutual aid program called Adopt a Clinic. Adopt a Clinic is a great way for the public to support independent clinics, abortion funds, clinic escort groups, and patients directly by ordering much-needed items from an organization's wish list. This week, we're showcasing Just Choice, an all-options organization that provides free ultrasounds, all-options counseling, which means they include abortion, not like fake clinics, parenting support, and ethical adoption. Locations are in Columbus and Cincinnati, Ohio.
And if you want even more ways to get involved, sign up to volunteer. We need you. Go to our website, aafront.org, fill out the volunteer form, and let's figure it out together.
And join us next week with the amazing John Fugelsang, comedian, radio host, and author of Separation of Church and Hate. John is going to be your greatest gift over the holidays because he is going to be here to give advice on how to talk to, debate, humiliate, whatever your vibe, the religious fanatics in your family during the holidays.
We could all arm ourselves with some biblical facts to fight back when berated with BS Bible bigotry. And John's the expert on all things theology, theocracy, so he's the perfect guest to help us get through it.
That's right. So I would say if you have any questions about how to handle folks, how to handle family before tomorrow, email us at podcast@aafront.org, and we can throw your questions into the mix for John.
That's such a great idea.
Sometimes I think of things off the top of my head.
FBK is edited by Remy de Tournay and is produced by Jin Moon for Abortion Access Front.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week. And don't forget, email us your questions. We want you to have the best holiday possible with the less stress possible. Don't cave to the bigots.
Feminist Buzzkills, the podcast from Abortion Access Front. New episodes drop Friday. When BS is poppin', we pop off. And if you want to support our podcast and all the work of Abortion Access Front, like, subscribe, and join our Patreon at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.